Well then, here we are, episode 79 of the Count Us In podcast. My name is Harry Sermon, and I'm joined by my two wonderful co-hosts, Jamie Joyner.
Good evening. How you doing?
Good evening, and Matt Lacey.
Hello, Harry. How are you? Hi, Jamie. How are you?
Hey, mate.
We're good. I did
All
you in
good.
order of the tiles for the visual listeners.
Yeah,
You know.
right.
I'm always in the
'cause
middle. You guys always in the same place?
Yeah, I think it kind of changes, but this looks familiar.
I'm on the
Shall we
right
say?
as I look at it.
Yeah.
Harry's on the left.
Ah.
Yeah.
I think I'm always on the left from my screen. But
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we're always got the same.
yeah, I digress.
Anyway,
Anyway.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one
Everyone's been
opening
dying
minute.
to hear that after
Yeah.
79 episodes. Like, we finally know.
What an opening minute for the audio podcast that is. Yeah. So first of all, it's nice to see you guys and chat again. We've had a bit of not time off in between, but the last couple of weeks have been fairly busy. We've all been in various different scenarios and so on. So yeah, I've been looking forward to this. I know we've been voice noting and stuff like that. So looking forward to getting a good chat. We've got a nice topic ahead of us. Before we do, though, something new or not something new?
nothing new from
Nothing
me.
new. No.
Cool. Hit the theme tune. Yeah, no. So nothing new from us this week. Again, probably for the right reasons. Matt, maybe something new soon. Not in the shape of a cylinder, but in the shape of probably one of the best things you could buy.
Yes.
Spend money on. Yeah, a house. Yeah,
House shaped.
yeah.
Yeah.
A house-shaped item.
A house-shaped item. We are getting ever closer to being able to move back in, and I'm sure the listeners are riveted and desperate. They're sitting on the edge of their
as they
seat,
should be.
wanting to know where they are with my house renovation, because I don't go on about it at all much. But yeah, I'm probably, as we record, I don't want to put a date on it, hopefully 2 weeks from being able to move back in, when we'll have all of the amenities required at minimal level. So yeah.
Oh, it's Christmas in 2 weeks. I can't believe it.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm very underprepared.
Yeah, so there might be a different backdrop by the next recording. For the visual listeners, there might be. So
Yeah.
I might actually be moving back into my house. But yeah,
Great.
having to balance all that and manage all that has been a little bit fraught, but we are still juggling a couple of tradesmen and this, that, and the other. And yeah, we're getting close. The end is in sight.
I couldn't do it. I don't know how you've done it.
Passionate,
But
mate.
yeah, it's mad. So
Well,
hats off.
It's fine. No, it's okay. And once we're in, we're still not finished. So
Is it ever finished?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
it's,
no,
you know.
it's okay.
Never ending,
Yeah.
isn't it?
it's like the journey of the drums itself.
Yes.
It is.
What a
What, you
segue.
ever finished?
Love that segue.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Professional.
Being
Yeah.
professional.
Might say.
Yeah,
being
yeah.
professional. I was going to say, sadly, not quite the topic, but actually, being professional, that leads me on to our main topic. Let's get straight into it. So yeah, we want to talk about being professional, and I know that's probably a little bit, open-ended. How long's a piece of string sort of situation? But we have, all three of us, over probably the last couple of episodes, in between recording, in and out, had various situations and discussions, around this sort of topic. And funnily enough, all kind of going through the same thing and kind of being in similar scenarios. And it just felt like a very aptly timed thing to kind of talk about. So yeah, we for a main topic for us, this is pretty fast and loose, and it'll be really nice to kind of see where we kind of go with the conversation here. So maybe let's just start off with just kind of like loose definition of what you think it means, what you guys think it means to be like a professional, I don't know, let's not even say drummer, but a professional sort of musician, kind of doing what we do, whether it's teaching privately, gigging, working with bands, working with your own projects, everything that kind of comes under that umbrella. What is, maybe your sort of elevator pitch of being professional, full stop? What would you guys say?
Yeah. Okay. Do you want me to go, Jay?
Yeah, you go for it, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting actually, and I know I touched on this like about 35 episodes ago or whatever. So when people ask me what I do, I say I'm a drummer, and they go, "Oh, what? What? That's your job? You're a professional?" And I always hesitate a bit and go, "Well, yeah, it's my full time profession." And I think it's the
Yeah.
full time because arguably elevator pitch, you could say, you earn predominantly earn your living. You earn your living from playing or teaching drums.
Yeah.
Now, that means that you do it as a profession. I would argue that actually someone who doesn't take their main income from playing or teaching drums, so someone who goes out and does gigs for other bands, or he's in their own band and plays at the weekend or whatever, or he's in a wedding band on Saturday nights, they're not full time, but that should still come with an element of professionalism.
Yeah.
So I separate. You can be full time, but I also think you don't have to be full time, but you can still be professional.
Still professional. Yeah.
Have a professional ethos.
Yeah. More so the act of doing as opposed to like quantity of in some degree, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's the way you go about it rather than you get paid for it. You know? So that's my short elevator kind of perspective on it. I don't know whether Jay agrees. Or
I mean, I agree. I think I kind of grew up. I say grew up like when I first started being like, for example, like charging for lessons or gigging. You kind of felt like, or maybe you convinced yourself you were professional because you just earned some money playing the drums. Like, and I think some people might argue that, well, if you can charge money for something, then perhaps you've crossed that line into professional. I maybe earlier on would have said that, but I these days definitely don't, because I think it goes far beyond just like, oh yeah, I did a pub gig and now I'm a professional drummer. I don't think it kind of works like that. But I think for me now it's much more almost like an attitude, like giving a complete. It's kind of like we were saying just before we were on air, just giving 100% to everything, and not it being like, it doesn't really matter if it's like a sort of like a pub gig or if it's like a massive stadium. I'm not saying that we've experienced that, but just going with an attitude of professionalism into whatever that job is, and I think that plays a large role in it for me. But as an add-on to what you said, Matt, I think I agree.
Yeah, I think both you both kind of said like what I was kind of thinking. I think there is an element of time and how much it consumes your livelihood, earnings, income, all of sort of that, what you do, on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, so on basis. But I think there is also an element of ability and quality that comes with sort of professionalism, because I think you could be in a wedding band that does 60 gigs a year, but you could still not be very good. And I don't know if that would still class you as professional as such. I don't know if maybe
that's where that line is.
I don't know if that's maybe a little bit too harsh, but I think then there needs to be a certain like level of quality. You've been playing, for X amount of time, you've studied, you've done this, you maybe, whether it's university or whatever it might be, and you teach or whatever it is. I think there has to almost be like a collection of accolades that almost equate to a certain level, because there's obviously levels within professionalism in itself.
Well,
you and I, us three versus Todd Zuckerman, for example, very different levels of profession, but also kind of not. Do you know what I mean?
I do, and I think that's why we sit here hesitating to say we are professional,
because
we
I'm
have
not Todd
context,
Zuckerman. Like,
because
yeah,
I'm not closing the main stage at the
Yeah.
top of the show. You know,
Yeah.
there isn't people queuing across the
Yeah.
landing like there were for Eloy Casagrande. You know,
I'm closing
like
the
there are
Pig
for
and
me.
Fiddle on a Sunday night. Like, yeah,
That's but I think no, to your point there, Harry, about people with the quality thing,
Mm.
I find that the people who are doing lots of gigs, but let's just say are not very good.
Yeah.
Maybe they're earning their living, but they don't have. Oh, I'm really careful. I'm not pissing people off, but
This is all meant with good intentions.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
maybe just front that,
I think the people like that don't have the wider context that we have. It's one of
Right,
those things,
yeah.
isn't it? It's like the more you know about something, you realise the harder it is.
Yeah. The more invested you are,
is it
the further you go,
The Dunning
And
Kruger effect.
your kind of horizons a little bit.
Yeah.
Have like perspective on exactly how far up in the chain you actually are.
Yeah.
Even if you've come a long way, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's those two academics, Dunning. I think they called it the Dunning Kruger effect. Apologies, people, if I've got those names slightly wrong, but they recognised that the people who didn't know anything about a thing thought it was easy.
Yeah.
So their naivety led them to believe that something was, a piece of cake. Whereas actually, the more you know, even though you are better placed to be better at it, you realise there is a lot more to do.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's endless, isn't it? With any kind of creative outlet, there is there's no end goal. There is no, we kind of talked about a couple of episodes back about goals and what would I like to do more of and so on. And, I think maybe I think Jay, I can't remember if he said the same, but like, I would like to tour and play like a stadium tour. But to the people that are already doing that and have done that for, 20 years, they aren't like, yeah, sweet, done it.
no,
they're always looking for that something, I posted recently about the Rolling Stones, and they've been a band for 60 years, and they've got another album coming out this year, and it's just like in their 80s, you can't play to like a million people or whatever, and not just kind of go, cool, that was fun, I'll go and play golf tomorrow. Like there's no finish line.
Weddings.
Yeah. I'm sure that would be one expensive wedding. Oh my gosh.
But it's a thing of the humility note comes from putting the time in and knowing where you are with it, and I think that humility is in that professional ethos.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, oh God, be careful. I'm going to drop myself in it again. But we've all played for a band or done a gig or whatever where, there might be a guitarist or a sound man or woman or, or keyboard player.
Any member.
Any member of the band or any member of a venue where you turn up and you're like, okay, so you run a venue. You're professional because this is your living.
Yeah.
But you're not being very professional.
Yeah.
We've all had instances with unprofessional people either prepping for a gig at sound check, rehearsal, on stage. People who are like not where they should be because they're on the monitor mix desk and you want more, and they're like, don't know, again, perhaps they don't know what they're doing. I've had a roadie help me set up on a quick turnaround for a festival gig, and what snare's this, mate? I said, oh, it's so. He said, oh, I've got this and I've got that, and I'm like, okay, yeah, great. I'm literally, I'm going to count the band in a minute, and you're still stood next to me,
yapping away.
I'm like, and then at the end, he did me a favour by taking my snare drum off stage, and left it behind the stage in a car park. I'm like, where's my snare, mate? Oh, I put it round there, safe. What? Completely unattended.
Yeah.
So it's like,
well, yeah. I mean, let's talk about that, like kind of like the preparation, of gig sort of side of things. Because I think, like what we were talking about before, like I think this is, if we talk about, like being a hired gun, being someone that you can be hired as a professional to do X job, whether it's a gig, whether it's a studio thing, whether it's teaching, whether there's an element of preparation that should kind of come into that as a whole, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of said, like, before we started, I feel like that is something that, when underlooked, that almost has a domino effect to the level of professionalism.
Yeah.
Whereas I think when it's not underlooked, it almost makes everything else seem more professional to some degree.
Yeah.
I think I'll let you guys kind of, elaborate, but I think, like, we've talked about it before, of like going to the rehearsal room, playing the songs, just playing them for the first time and hoping for the best, and everyone, looking around like you're Vinnie Colaiuta, being like, this is incredible. Like, who are you? What is this instrument you play? And you're just like, I just learnt your music, or whatever it is. You've turned up and you've asked the questions, and they're like, oh yeah, I didn't really think about that. And you're just kind of like, this is your song, this is your thing, whatever kind of thing it is, or So, do we have any sort of like certain moments of those sort of maybe under professionalized areas? I had a gig on Friday where the headline band, there was a sort of young band, Liverpudlian band. They seemed pretty cool and all that sort of stuff playing, and they've been driven down from Liverpool, and I was literally just taking my stuff off, and the drummer sort of walks over to me, pulling his trousers up and whatnot, and he was like, "Oh, do you know where the hi-hat clutch is? Is it about?" And I was like, somewhere on the... I had my hi-hat stand with my cymbals on in my hand, and I was like, somewhere, yeah, it's over there, I think, mate. Yeah, they should be there, fine. And he just walked on with nothing. And I was just kind of like, what? You're headlining this massive venue in wherever, and you don't have your own hi-hat clutch. Where's all your stuff? What are you doing? Like, like, this is... And that was just literally a minute conversation. And, that to me, before I'd even heard them, told me everything I kind of needed to know. Before that, the singer said, "Oh, have you got a pen or an envelope or a bit of tissue to write the set list on?" And I'm like, well, just like little things like that, where it was just like, this is, this is not, So yeah, have you guys got any sort of those sort of stories? Yeah, almost, yeah. And maybe how that kind of impacts professionalism and so on.
Yeah, well, where shall I start? Have you got one, Jay? I've got about 10.
Without naming any names.
Nah, I wouldn't say like necessarily horror stories. I think I've been quite fortunate to not have too many of those. But I will say, yeah, I've been in those situations quite a few times over the years, of turning up to a gig or turning up to a rehearsal, having just done what I was asked to do, which is usually just learn the songs. And the band sort of end up turning around and going, "Oh, that sounded like it should have sounded," or "I've never heard it played like that before," or and you could just kind of tell, like, they noticed something different, and you bought whatever that was. It might have been you literally just learned the song, but obviously, it's more than just learning the rights and the lefts, but yeah, I think there's just been a few moments where I've just been a little I'm not going to say surprised, but just it's just kind of caught me off guard a little bit, when I've been a bit like, okay, I'm surprised in a way that the previous drummer or the other drummers that you've played with have not kind of done this. So yeah, I'd say I've had a few of those moments, and I think just around that, I've basically tried to establish little ways of prepping, or doing it in a way that I know works, and just keep going with that. But yeah, I don't know.
I think you've done a fantastic job there, Jay, of answering that question positively. Whereas I'm going to go the other way.
Yeah, well, let's hear your stuff.
In the interest of balance. So
I learned it all, and it was fine. Everyone was okay.
No, not a band, but as per Harry, actually, I've witnessed other things in other bands. So we did I better not say which band, it might give stuff away. I'm in a band, and we did a four band 4-band lineup. We were headlining a 4-band lineup at a fairly small venue, max cap of 50.
Always good fun.
Yeah, they're great.
Aren't
It's
they?
like sweaty in the trenches stuff. It was great. Great. We've got a sound check. We've had early sound checked, and then the band that were on before us. It was like they were playing, tuning up, playing, and the guy was the singer, and it was kind of psychedelic Pink Floyd meets kind of 80s like I don't know, pop. It was all a bit. It was kind of quite melodic actually, quite good music. But at the end of the song, and like there's literally 50 people there, and the sound man, he spent the lead singer, stroke guitarist. Well, he was the acoustic, rhythm guitarist. Spent 3 minutes tuning up between each song, and then he said, "Oh," and then they asked, "How long have we got left?" And have we got time for one more? And the sound man, great guy, really professional, said, "If you're quick," because we were like running out of time for our set. "If you're quick, okay, great." And then spent 3 minutes tuning up. And the sound man shouted from the back, "I did say if you were quick." And then there was no like, "What's next?" And the guy, the bass player, was cueing him what to say and what the next song was. And it was just like
completely. Yeah.
And I said to our band, and I've said it before, I probably said it on here as well. A good band is 80% admin.
Yeah.
And just know your set, time your set, know what the transitions are between songs, what the tuning is. It's not hard to do that stuff,
Well, it's like, what have you rehearsed for? Because you shouldn't. You should. If you've got a rehearsal the week before the gig in that scenario, you shouldn't be rehearsing the songs as such.
No.
That should be done. It's all those little bits that you just go over.
It's like we were watching the rehearsal.
Yeah. Do you find that? Do you guys find that any of those things sort of impact then what you almost thought the gig was going to be, or thought the scenario was going to be? So, Jay, for example, like you said, like turning up to rehearsal, and do you feel like that then impacts what you think that is then going to be? Do you kind of feel more relaxed, or do you kind of feel a bit more stressed out? Does it then, and actually to add a sort of second question to that, when you are rehearsing and so on, are you almost thinking of, oh, well, maybe in this, say, for example, it's a song with like a fade out, or maybe we could do this, or maybe I could watch this person here, or maybe they might do that, or like, are you almost kind of thinking of like a list of scenarios to almost react to in case of, scenario A? Like, oh, actually, we go around this again. Okay, well, I can kind of follow that. Do you know what I mean? Like, or any of those situations, or maybe we don't have in-ears, or maybe we don't have this on the stage, or maybe we don't have time for a sound check. Like, all of those things that come into, especially the gig sort of scenario. Do you guys find that, A, like you said, when you get there and they're almost surprised at how well things have gone, or the opposite, does that impact the event? Or the other way around, are you almost like, I don't know how this is going to go, I've almost got no information, how can I almost make sure I'm covered in every sort of direction? Do you guys feel like you do that?
I think when I want, if I'm going to rehearse, I don't very often rehearse with a band if I'm depping with them. But
that was going to be my other question. I'll come back to that. Yeah.
In my prep, if I have had a rehearsal last week with a band I'm depping for at the end of the month, my prep for that is, so in my mind, the rehearsal is the gig. So I'm prepping the songs, and I always take the stance that the songs that they've listed, and I've checked for the versions they want me to listen to for reference. My stance is I've got to be prepared and assume that they are going to play it absolutely like the record, note for note.
Yeah.
In terms of quality of playing, clarity,
sound structure, key.
If I was going to go and do this with the band that I'm listening to, how well am I playing it? And so when I turn up to do that, it's that stuff. I don't, to answer your other question, I don't. If there's a fade out, I'll chart the songs, lots of listening, chart the songs, normally in 1 or 1.5 runs through, 2 runs through. And And if it says fade, I will literally write fade ? And I take that book with me to the rehearsal.
Yeah.
I won't second guess what might happen. But what it does do, it arms me to ask questions.
Yeah.
So when you come to a rehearsal and you go, so on this one, guys, on the record, you know that they do this. I notice there's no keyboard player here. Are you doing that bit, or am I counting you in? And when they see that you've paid attention to, right, rather than just, I want to be asking questions that puts, not on the back foot, but puts them in a position where, oh, Matt really wants to know how we do it. And so there's a fade out on this. Can you just run through the end? Before we do the song, let's just run through the ending. And then we'll go back to the beginning. So that's how I kind of tee that up. And when I did a rehearsal last week, as I said, and I think 6 songs in, they asked me to join the band.
Yes.
I'm like, and they said, oh, this is the best we've played in ages. And it was a rehearsal. I said, doesn't it make a difference when the guys, like, when the drummer's like solid like that? I can't believe what difference the drummer makes. So I'm like, so to answer
Saul and the drummer.
You're here, quite right. To answer your other question, Harry, from that point on, now I'm more relaxed about the gig.
Right. Yeah.
Because now I've got it in my pocket, and I don't mean that
You're
in a
in.
rash way, but I mean in terms of I'm in the songs. They're happy with what I'm doing. I'm playing it as they, well, probably I'm more than meeting their expectations in terms of playing it.
Yeah.
Playing the songs, and it means now that, right, when the gig comes, we've all met each other. They know what's what, and it's
the lay of the land, as it were.
Yeah, the lay of the land.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I know the psychology of the gig.
Yeah, and also I guess some of those things I was saying about like trying to predict where, if the fact that you're kind of charting and then asking the questions in the rehearsal, that kind of negates a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because that was going to be my other question, Jane. I want to hear what you thought about the other 2 questions. But the rehearsal before the gig, again, in this context, we're kind of a bit gig heavy, I guess, at the moment. But rehearsal before the gig, what are your guys' opinions on that? Is that a good thing, or is that a negative? For me personally, if it's a function gig, I don't need to do a function gig rehearsal. And that's not like an arrogant thing to say, but like, especially if they send me a set list beforehand, it's like, I just don't need to do that. Turn up, I'll learn the songs as is, or you tell me if there's any changes, and we'll figure it out, on the fly, because that's playing,
Yeah.
Originals, very different, because it is its own sort of thing. And I think it's always good to have originals rehearsals, but I would probably, if a band was insistent on a function rehearsal before the gig, I probably, depending on what it was, that would factor me into probably turning it down.
Yeah.
Because in a way, again, not in an arrogant sort of way, do you guys think that almost like categorizes the level of playing sort of side of things? You know what I mean? Not to sound,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. I think it does kind of hint at it. They're like, I get you want to play with, like, you're going to be playing with someone you've never played with before, and that's obviously everyone is a little bit like, how's it going to be? And maybe they want to get a vibe for you and that sort of stuff. But also you're asking someone to come out, give up another evening, bring kit, and for us that's a lot of kit, and often for free. Or
that's the other thing,
and I think that especially if it's a function thing, and these are well-known songs, and it is just and if they know you and that you're experienced and you're professional, you will have learned them. It's hard because they've got to trust you at the end of the day. But I think when you've been on the circuit for a while, you kind of embrace that culture of just so and so's coming. We've not played with them before, but we're going to do it. And you just kind of get on with it. And I've just noticed like people get more and more comfortable with that. Or at least
you get a feel for what someone's like quickly, anyway.
Covering up any sort of discomfort, or
that's what I mean,
dealing with stuff that goes wrong. If there's like, oh, this bass player's not great, you kind of you get through the gig in as most professional way as you can, rather than making it a thing and whatever. And I think that's like a whole other level of professionalism, is when maybe there's things going wrong, but you're you're dealing with them,
Yeah.
and it's less about the music. It could just be the way that you're interacting with the client, or whatever function wise this is, or interacting with the sound guy, or you know what it's like on a gig. You have to think on the fly sometimes, and I think that we've probably said this before, but it's very little about the actual what you're playing at that point. And I think
it's all the in between.
It shouldn't really be about that. If you're on the gig and you're like panicking about structures of drum parts or drum fills or endings or stuff like that, then you're underprepared, because there's so many other things that go on in the gig that you're going to want the brain space to be able to think about. You know, if like, I don't know, there's a dodgy lead or something and you can't hear the click properly, or you know, I was on one the other day and it was like the speakers are all in the dance floor ceiling, so you know the room sound is terrible, and you know, it just eventually you're like, okay, this is just like kind of what you're saying earlier. You have to go through every scenario in your head. Okay, if I don't have a good mix, you know, will I be all right? Or if I don't know, if we're on like, I don't know, really practical levels, but you know, you might be on a marquee or something like that. Like, is that going to impact just like your setup, or you know, loading and stuff? Are you going to get stressed, or maybe you're late because you couldn't find the venue, or you got nowhere to park? Like, there's just so many other factors. Stress you out easily. So you want to know you can play the songs, like, you know, at rehearsal, if there is one, and definitely for the gig.
On my gig on Friday, and I want to hear, Jay, your answer to the other question that we asked Matt a minute ago, but my gig on Friday, this massive, great room, there's like 7 monitors across the front row. I didn't have time to put ears and stuff like that. I had a massive wedge, and we're getting ready to start, and the announcer's like, right, okay, everyone get ready, the next band, blah, blah, blah. And I could only hear it like out the front. Bearing in mind, I'm probably about 12 feet behind the PA. It's a big stage.
Yeah. Cool.
I was like, they'll turn the monitors on in a second. No worries. Just, you know, finishing getting round of applause, counting everything in. Nothing. Couldn't hear a thing. I could literally only hear the vocals from almost the reflection of the other end of the massive room for the whole gig. And all of us came off stage and we were like, did anyone else have any monitors on? We were like, no. So I literally just couldn't. I just had to go in with like, I know these songs, and I'm just gonna like keep an eye out for usual things, but I can also let almost maybe playing like this with one ear to the side, just in case, because you
don't want to let on that there's something wrong either. Like,
exactly,
on a show, you know, if you're going like, oh, can you hear? Like, oh, I can't hear, trying to get hold of a sound guy or whatever,
and none of us batted an eyelid at all. Yeah, exactly. You're just in. And then we were all like, I think I kind of looked up, and the bass player kind of also, we kind of slightly locked eyes, but kind of didn't really like say what we both were thinking. And then I was like, oh, I could like wave someone down, but I was like, it's literally just darkness in front of me, because, you know, you got the house lights on you. I could be doing this and look like an absolute idiot, you know? So like you said, you just crack on. You know, there's that professionalism side of just like, do you know what? It's a 30-minute set. Let's just crack on and get to it. But Jay, you're enough waiting for the listeners. We need to hear this answer for this question.
No. Can you summarize the 2 questions for me?
Can you remember the question?
So it was like about the sort of the professionalism in regards to when you do said rehearsal, you do communicate X thing and you get back and it's almost a lot more chilled or a lot more low key or a lot more maybe lower level than you think. Does that then change your expectation to what the gig is now? And also, do you kind of maybe, as you're preparing, without maybe going to any of those things, without maybe having confirmation of endings or this, that, and the other, or setup, are you kind of trying to, you know, almost give yourself backups, you know, have almost like a list of, well, if this happens, I can do this and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think there are certain things that you can catch a vibe early on when someone asks you to do a gig, whether it's going to be quote unquote professional or not. And it might just be, it could be just from the initial message, to be honest, because, you know, they'll be like, hey mate, you free next Saturday? True. Immediately I'm like, oh no, what's this? Like, it's, you know, it's, there's no details whatsoever, and we've spoke about this on podcast before. Like, I can't answer that question unless you give me more. So why are you asking this? So right from there, and then just like having them maybe have thought about what you would want to know, like all the kind of like generic details aside. Like, do I need to bring an in-ear pack? Is it breakables, or is it is there a kit provided, or do I need to bring my own stuff?
What time's loading? What time's the first set?
Just the basic setup.
Just basic setups and stuff like that. How do we do our mix? And do you want me to give you my in-ear preferred like baseline mix in advance? Or, is there going to be an app that I can jump on, or is there a sound guy? Like, just these little things which you don't really like. When you're experienced, you've thought about those things, and so even when you ask those questions, they have an answer for it. So even if they don't kind of offer something, it's not weird if I'm like, oh, can you tell us like exactly what I need to bring, or are we on in-ears or not, or whatever. Like, those sorts of questions aren't a surprise, I think, to the more like quote unquote professional bands.
Bring microphones as well, like you talked about Matt as well.
It's weird because I often found that, like you said, when the band's on it, and I'm going to get a call to play with top players, like if it's a jazz gig, or I'm playing with like national level players. They actually don't give you. It's not like they do give me the information. Like I did a jazz gig like a couple of weeks ago. Are you free on this date, Matt? Start at this time. Get there for this time. Start at this time. This is where it is, and this is what the pay is. Mm-hmm. All in one message.
That's an important one.
Yeah, great. Brilliant. And you're like, yes.
No awkward conversations.
No problem. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Who am I invoicing? This email address. Great. Yeah. Job done. And so that information's all up front. And when it comes to the songs, now in this particular instance, we're playing jazz standards, so it's probably a little bit not so relevant. But I've done like wedding function gigs with a 3-piece band. Like I made up the third member, it was a guitar and bass. The bassist was a dep as well. I was a dep, and I got the set list, and I'd listened to the set list, charted some songs, but no rehearsal because we're turning up, and we just played through the songs. And it was like I was prep. Oh, okay. So I'm perhaps thinking it's a 10 out of 10 prep wise. I prepped 10 out of 10. The prep required was a 6 or a 7 or 8.
Right.
And the reason the prep doesn't need to be is because the quality of the players meant that we were all, as you said, Jay, looking out for each other. The specifics of the songs wasn't the problem. It was just like we're on top of it. Conversely, when I've played with not so experienced players who are not full time, what I found is get a bit of information, not all the information in the message, which is normally 3 times as long, but tells you half as much.
Yeah.
and when it comes to, and absolutely, I don't have a problem with this at all. It's just, you talked about the question in terms of communication. And when it comes to the songs, I do the same prep, 10 out of 10. And when I get to a rehearsal, because they want to do a rehearsal, or I'm happy to be at a rehearsal because the pay is, I think it's fair that I can do a rehearsal with them. They are far more specific about, at the end of this, we're going to do this. And then he does that. And then there's a count. And with a higher level band, you don't get that detail. You just, it's going to be okay. Whereas the non full-time bands, the less experienced bands, are really super detailed on the song, but don't give you the detail about the gig. You know what I mean? It's that.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I think that's interesting because I actually feel like, perhaps in an original setting, I've experienced this more, but I feel like there is more specifics on the little bit than there is the wider song.
Yeah,
because they know that you'll turn up and you'll be like, I'm sure you'll do a good job. Like, all of that was amazing, but what I would really like is like, I think you could just lay back in this verse, or like just this. Actually, what we do is this kick band, and I feel like that. If that's the only note you're getting in an original setting or in a high gun, I think that's another level of professionalism.
Yeah, I think when you're getting No, it's not about your playing, but the musicality to the song,
the overall
approach.
picture.
Yeah. I've not done many kind of originals. I've done one or two, but
I can see how you mean that with the function sort of side of things. It's like, let's actually get specific, because all the other bits are a bit more of a given, you know.
But I did get so they got really kind of specific about, well, I know how it ends, because it's not like you're telling me how it ends because it's a fade. You there's an ending on the record, and I've charted it, and I know how it goes, but you're giving me information that I don't need, because if you're playing it like the record, then it's all there. You know what I mean?
And I think there's also forms of communication of that, in terms of like, instead of them being like, oh, right, so how it goes is you're doing this bit, and you've got this bit, and then they're going to go over that, and you're almost getting like the full walkthrough, as opposed to, oh yeah, this person will just like shout it or whatever, or like just like keep your eyes on them at the end. Like, that is like full level of trust and knowing that you understand how to approach that and what that means. You know, that's another level of, you know.
In a sense, I think that when you've got a more professional band, the pressure and maybe even prep level almost feels less, because you haven't had to like anticipate all of this like strange scenario a lot. I'm sort of saying this because of just an experience I had with a very professional band, where I walked in prepping exactly the same as I normally would, and being like, yeah, this is good. I prep like this for everything, and very used to, like we've been saying, like everyone to be going over every single little detail and all of that sort of stuff that I already know, and they'll be like, oh yeah, of course we do the ending like this. I'm like, yeah, I know, I learned the ending like that, or you know, this is how it is on the track, so of course, you know, or you know, someone else in the room has not quite learned it properly yet, so they're kind of going over it with them, and I'm sitting there as the dep going, okay, I'm just going to wait here and you guys to learn the song. But I did a rehearsal with this artist and her band, and I remember just finishing the songs sounding, and this is not to kind of like sound arrogant in any way on my part, but the songs were sounding really good, to the point where I was like, this, like, everyone's here vibing and it sounds amazing, and we locked in like immediately. Got to the end of the song, no one said anything, and it was as if it was just another day at the office.
Another day,
and I was just like, what? We're just not going to like actually sort of talk about what happened there. You know, that sounded great. And everyone was like, yeah, cool. It was like this sort of like, of course it did. Because that's how it's meant to have sounded. And I remember just being like, oh, these guys are the real deal. You know, they're the ones that are just like, well, yeah, we're going to play it at like 11. Every single time. And so they were kind of like this. And I remember at that rehearsal, it was more, they were telling me exactly what I, as a dep drummer with all of my concerns, would need to know. And that would be things to do with the click, how I'm going to trigger the tracks. They were like, oh, we've got a little live intro. And actually we didn't even play the live intro. They were like, oh, it's 8 bars long. It's this chord progression. When you hear this chord, it's a hit on the end of 3, and then the second time round we do a double hit on the end of 3 or whatever. They kind of just like described it to me, and that was it. And then they expected me to just be like, cool. And then on the gig we did it. Like, I just you know, we hadn't done it in rehearsal at all. And it was just like it was a shock to my system a little bit, because, you know, in every other circumstance, like we've been saying, you go to the rehearsal and everyone's like, oh man, this is sounding really, really great, you know, and or like, you know, rehearsing the song with other members of the band or whatever. Whereas in this one, it was just like, boom, 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 sounds great. I expect you to know the parts and to know this live intro and all these other things, and then just go and do the gig. And I was like, that's it. It kind of put me through my paces in a good way, and I was like, I needed that. You know, I needed to kind of feel kind of a bit stressed, but like also I was
put under the pressure.
I was pleased. To kind of circle back to some of the questions earlier, like I basically prep every gig exactly the same, so I kind of know. I just know that I'm going to be arriving at the best possible version. So I'm not, it doesn't, the way that they approach things, I don't particularly need to worry. Like I don't end up like relaxing or anything like that. I'm just like, I'm bringing this level no matter what the gig I'm on. And then kind of, I guess, then leaning on experience and sort of intuition to be able to sort of deal with the other things. The prep is almost like this like pre ritual or routine that I do, and then I'm hoping that it's not always true. I don't always arrive feeling completely confident, and sometimes you're like, I
get that,
you kind of you think, oh yeah, I know this, and then you go, oh, I didn't know that quite as well as it, but it's okay because no one else did either, and it's fine, and whatever. So, and you're kind of like, you can get away with it, but yeah, most of the time I try and arrive, and it's not me thinking about, you know, drum parts and structures and that, and it's my head is ready for, okay, what are we doing about transitions and you know, what's the
detail
and all the detail, that stuff, which, as we said, is really, I think, what you should be discussing at a rehearsal rather than learning the songs. You know,
do you think that as drummers we tend to be, you know, as the hired gun member, do you think we tend to be the slightly more professional, more adaptable, more diverse person on the sort of bandstand?
Yeah,
so I feel like sweet.
Yes.
I don't know, like, I'm, as you guys know, I'm not a chart guy, although I did write some notes and take my iPad to a gig I did the other day, only because it was very last minute. But it was like, I know. Like, you haven't seen the notes, I wouldn't say so. I mean, look, not for the visual listeners, not a dot in sight.
Oh yeah, we've got paragraphs and bullet points.
You got to like actually read.
Yeah, one hit. Verse 3, one hit, no skip. Second hit, no skip. Yeah,
but the point is, you had your notes that made sense
to
you.
Yeah, and as they always should, you know. But I've just been on a few gigs where I've learnt medleys, big medleys, and I've learnt them. As in, I will turn up and I can play them without having to be reminded of them. And I've also then turned up on those gigs with sax players who have literally turned up half an hour before the first dance and have opened up their book, or not even opened up their book, opened up the book that the band has given them, and just gone, and they're trying to play it, and they can, but maybe it's not with much feeling, or maybe they kind of flub it a little bit. And I just sort of think, like, we haven't done the same amount of work here, you know, because I always do feel, on a slight personal note, and this is, you know, probably a little bit a point of contention and so on, but I do feel that if you've charted something, I don't think you know it, because you are relying on the chart to a degree. That, again, that's just my personal, but I've always come from, if I know something, it's because I've learnt it and I can play it and I can sing it back to you, and I could sing this part, and I could, because that's kind of like my level of prep, like you were saying, Jay. Like, I want to know something that I can just count it off and sing it, and almost I need to know the lyrics, I need to know the words, I can sing the song. That's the kind of level, you know.
I think it's go on, Jay.
No, sorry, I was just off the back of that thought. I definitely agree, but I also think that maybe there's a question of like, how much does it matter? And I think there is a professionalism thing. It's very different in the jazz world, obviously, and
absolutely
horn players, especially on function gigs, even, you know, for them to have a music stand and a folder on there, very normal. And I don't think
very standard.
People will bat an eyelid. Similarly, though, I do think it's fairly common to see iPads everywhere.
Singers.
You know, singers, even and guitarists. Even sometimes it might just be a mix or something. But you know, and I often take my iPad Mini. You know, I like to trigger tracks from there. I also have a set list on there, so it's all kind of there. But then also, like the other day, I did a last minute function, and I knew 90% of the songs, 95% of the songs, and then there was about 3 or 4 songs that I hadn't played in maybe 2 years, and I was like, oh, I've got charts for them. And then got to the thing on the set, I flicked open my thing, and it was literally like okay, how long is the bridge, or how
Yeah.
many times do we do, like, it was something like that. It wasn't like I knew the song, it was just I'd forget little things, and I just had it there, and it meant that at that point in the song, little glance, oh yeah, we're there, yeah, cool,
Yeah.
little stop
Yeah.
there, whatever. And I personally didn't feel like that took away from the level of delivery that I gave, or the vibe in the room, or anything like that. But the iPad sort of, in a sense, bailed me out of that, like, prep. I'd done some prep and I charted it, but it was kind of there on the fly to be like, you don't need to have gone over these, but it's fine.
You also have the ear and the musicality to adapt. Had that not been there, you could have your eyes and ears open and follow. And I think where people don't, and then the music deviates from the dots, or something goes wrong and they're like, I don't know what to do now because I was getting ready to change to the next section and I am lost. That, I think, that's baffling.
I
Do you
can't
know what I mean?
That happened to me. No.
Yeah, that's where the line, I think, is a little bit skewy for me.
When I do a chart, that's okay. When I do a chart, I'm not writing notation. It's it's song structure.
Yeah.
And bar count. And as you believe, when you start counting bars, you say, oh, straightforward. I mean, what was I doing the other day? Jumping Jack Flash.
Oh gosh, yeah. I played that on the weekend.
It's a bar of 6 at the end of the chorus or whatever. And you're like, So you can, like, with the band I'm playing with, are they playing it like that? They might not know it's a bar of 6, but they're playing it like the record, because it's very natural to add those 2 quarter notes in that section, that little rollover. It's a gas, or whatever it might be. But the reason for the chart is I don't gig with the chart. So if I'm not doing a rehearsal with the band, the chart, or if I am doing a rehearsal the chart is my rehearsal before we get in the room.
Right, so when you're practicing at home or whatever.
Because I've listened to the songs, and I could turn up on a jam night and call any one of those songs and I can play it. It's perhaps a slightly different level of expectation on a jam night, because it's not a polished gig, but it's really so I can go down and go, right. So weirdly, to go back to your point, Harry, I feel I can play it smoother because I'm reminding myself, it's a double verse, then it's a chorus, then the bridge, and I might make a little note where I'm going to stop on the one, or I might just chart out if it's like a really weird, like not a natural bass kick pattern, and I will just chart out one bar as a little memoir to go, it's that.
Or if it's a very specific one that you're like, this song needs this pattern, otherwise,
and if I've got to call it
drum beat,
and if I've called it and I'm starting it, I want to make sure I get the vibe of the beat, the groove straight off the bat. So it's really there to go. So when I do play them for the first time, probably in rehearsal, I'm playing them as smoothly as possible, and I'm giving myself over to like the nuance rather than, hang on, I need to play. Do I play a fill here? Is it a chorus next? That's taken away. It's just really so I don't have to think about that when I'm playing. Really, But to your point, I think we as drummers generally do tend to play with more and different people. It's really weird because I don't do much of the function stuff, so I don't ever use charts. And I've been on function bands. I've done a couple where the horn sections have charts, but my gigs are kind of, ironically, probably the majority of what I do are either rock gigs, rock and blues trio gigs, or 4-piece rock gigs, or you kind of, or the jazz where there is a specific form, ABBA or AABA or AABC or whatever, and everyone else has got a physical chart, literal notation, but that's only for the head. It's only for the what key is it in, and then ironically they're improvising over the form.
Yeah, they're off.
So so then I can,
it's like a little blueprint.
Yeah, but I don't have any charts on a jazz kick because I kind of, what song is it? Okay, and I rely on me knowing the form. And then playing. So I mean, other than the jazz band that I'm in, and we do some original compositions, I rehearse with them, but never rehearse on jazz bands because everyone just brings their iPad, and they know what key it's in. And they go,
we all do it a little differently, don't we? We all kind of have our own little ways of.
But to your point, I think we are the most adaptable, Harry, as drummers.
Yeah,
and I think that's where we have to be more professional, because actually, if we're not, we don't get gigs.
Yeah.
And we are probably more on the lookout for more gigs and want to play with more people. Whereas unless you are specifically out there as a session player, bassist,
Yeah.
session guitarist, or you work in orchestra pits, or whatever, I don't know many guitarists out there that are being given or like depping, and therefore, or if you got, do you know this? I don't really know that. What key you're in?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you learn the solo? It's and arguably it's perhaps more intrinsically melody. There's more melody involved.
There's
Therefore,
less chance to just fly by, isn't it?
yeah.
Really? Yeah,
So
for sure.
people get comfortable with what they're comfortable with, and we
Yeah.
have to be far more adaptable to,
Mm.
turning up and playing anything that's put in front of us or anything we're asked to play if we want it and we feel it's up our street. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Well,
yeah.
to wrap up then,
Yeah,
let's just, before we go, maybe just give a couple of, professional qualities that we think are important, that we could also maybe advise the listener on.
Yeah.
I think an important thing that sounds very obvious, but some people do overlook, I think, is gear and your knowledge of your gear, and what you bring, and how you sort of present that to the situation. I'll always remember when we were at uni, and we did like our live performance workshop every week, and every week it was different artists. It'd be Prince one week and T-Rex the next, and John Coltrane and so on. And we were doing a funkadelic track, and the guitar player opened up his guitar case and had his Gibson Explorer. And my uni lecturer just went, "Why have you got a Gibson Explorer for funkadelic?" And I swear on my life, his answer was, "Well, Dave Grohl's got a Gibson Explorer."
Oh,
And we were like,
did it?
so is James Hetfield. Like, who cares?
Did he get thrown off the
Wow.
course?
Yeah, I mean, maybe you should have, but
Should have done.
to to kind of equate that to drums, if you turn up with a 24-inch kick drum for a little function wedding,
Yeah. Having
you know.
having options and knowing your equipment and knowing what will fit what situation.
And getting the desired sound out of it. If they say, "Oh, your toms are a bit ringy, can we maybe?" It's a bit of a lively room. If you look at
Gotta be versatile, and I think if you kind of
versatility.
Like pigeonhole yourself into one type of thing, I think you'll be asked to get on a gig and you'll be like, "Oh, I've only got like massive 24-inch bass drum," or I haven't got the best cymbals here, or whatever. Like if you've got stuff that can stretch one way or the other, then I think you'll find yourself it'll be a bit easier.
Yeah.
And I think equally, if you can get a good adaptable sound out of that, I think people won't worry about what it is that you have. I think it's just adapting to the situation, because a lot of those dep gigs, whether it is on the function scene or in originals or whatever it is, they are very vast in their sort of scenarios.
Yeah.
You could be in a massive theatre one week, and you could be in the tiniest little, sort of
Got
back
to
room
adapt on the
function
fly
room.
as well. I think that's the thing. Like
Exactly.
It's not just like between gigs. I think that you as you're on the gig, something can happen, and you've got to be able to switch into a different mode. Maybe the sound guy goes, "Yeah, you need to play quieter." And it's just like, right, okay, that's like suddenly something you've got to be conscious of the entire gig. So being able to have versatility in terms of even just your dynamic playing can be a huge thing.
Yeah.
I think for me, I mean, there's always the obvious ones. Being early is on time. Know the songs.
Yeah.
Be a nice guy. Be good to talk to. All that stuff.
Yeah. Be a good hang.
Be a good hang. The one thing for me that you've got to remember, you are in the service industry.
Yeah.
You are providing a service. This is not about, but look at this cool lick. Yeah, and I can play this song. Yeah, but we're not. Don't care, mate. We're not playing that song. We're playing. These are our songs that you need to play. So you are in the service of others, and with that comes a responsibility that you're going to do a great job for other people, whether that be in the Dog and Duck on a Friday night, or whether that be the main stage, name a festival, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a great quote. I saw Tommy Igo put out a post the other day. It doesn't matter. You should approach the gig like your life depends on it,
Yeah.
because there's no shame on, like, and we know all these guys that go on tour at big gigs, worldwide bands, and they go and play a gig in a pub
They come back home when they play with their mates. Yeah.
When they're not on tour, they go and do function gigs in a really good
Yeah.
band, getting paid really well. Ironically, probably as much as they do when they go and pay to 20,000 people. So you cannot be precious about the venue. You can bring the right attitude and the right, and just remember that you're there to serve other people. It's not about showing them how good you are. The way you will do that is by helping them sound really good.
Yeah, and I think also as well, like in a sort of ego front as well, like, treat every musician, every person, you know, like you'd want to be treated. No, you're not better or worse than anybody, and no one's better or worse than you. Everyone is
100%.
Equal, and I think if you, like
People
we've
get a
like
whiff
we
of
said
that
tonight,
pretty early on if you don't do that. And
exactly.
that can really damage your reputation, or just give it a little vibe. And because you hang out with people, and then they talk about other guys that have this this attitude, and they're like, and it's often they're going, so much more chill when we're like with you, because so and so he's got this attitude, or like we played with this guy the other day and he had this, he was like this, and he said this to the client, and all this sort of stuff. So I think people, you got to be careful, because people cotton on pretty quick.
And when, like you said earlier, you get those gigs where you kind of go, oh, hang on a minute, actually, this is a little bit more lower quality than I'm thinking. You then can't walk around being like, I'm holding this together. This is me running the ship now. Like it is. No, like you said, Matt, you're there to make them sound even better. And even then, it's not about that. That's beside the point. I
think one of the quick things, like when I get to venues, I speak to the sound man. I went to a hotel and gigged at a hotel, and had to ask the receptionist which room are we in, and ask people's names. So whatever the name of the sound man is, whatever name it is in this example, I don't remember her name. Her name was Rebecca on reception. Oh, thanks very much. So what was your name? Rebecca. Hi, I'm Matt. Thanks very much. Because it gives people, he wanted to know my name, and he struck up a conversation. Not, excuse me, love, where's the band?
Yeah.
It's just not on, And also, I'm real believing it lets other people, they know that you've seen them in a literal, people know they've been seen, because you talk to them and you ask their name, and you never know where that person in 10 minutes time might need to get you out of the what. And if you've dissed them off and not given them the time of day 10 minutes earlier, now you've not got any rapport with anyone. So it's just ask people's names and just talk to people and let them remember you for the right reasons.
Yeah, and you'll probably even find as well, like some people like that, even as long as you're just, like you said, polite, you ask names, you have a light bit of conversation, even in a group dynamic of people that you don't know, and you maybe latch onto someone that you spend a bit more time with, those other people will still be in touch. If they still remember that you do a good job and you were nice to chat to for whatever brief moment it was, that doesn't close the door down for any other people in the band. Like the gig I did just that weekend, just gone, was that. I'd only spent a little bit of time chatting with this person on the gig. I met them on however many months ago, and we had a good time. We enjoyed playing, and we had a little chat afterwards. And then like 2 months ago, he was like, they will, because they will be the people that are looking. They're going, oh, I need a person for this. Oh, let me have a think. Oh yeah, that was that person the other day. Oh, they were great. I'll give them a message. And you won't get that far if you're not on the pecking order, as it were.
I agree.
100%.
All good stuff though, guys. Thanks for that. I really enjoyed that.
Nice one.
I'll hand it over to you, Matt, for the wrap up.
It's like a official thing now. Quite, play that sting now.
Yeah.
There you go. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks everyone for listening. Remember, being full-time is not the same as being professional. There you go. If you've enjoyed this, taken anything from it, and would like to share your appreciation, please drop us the price of a very cheap latte at buymeacoffee.com/CountersInPodcast. You can follow along, and we'd love to get your feedback and comments and perspective. DM us or whatever on our reels on Instagram. We are on Instagram at CountersInPodcast. You can see a theme here. And this episode will come out this Friday, he said, looking at his watch, which is the
22nd.
22nd, I knew that. And it will be available the following week on YouTube. So please find us on
29th.
YouTube. 29th, thank you. Thank you, Miss. It's all about the admin. It will be available on YouTube, so go over there. You can see what we look like and where we're all sitting in which order on the screen. And we'd love to see you over there as well, because then you'll get to see a little bit more of the unedited stuff that doesn't quite make it onto the pod. Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Great to be back.
Nice one.
Appreciate your comments and perspective. Good topic. See you again next time.
Great stuff.
See you then.